Okay, I have 10 o'clock. We will call the Harrison County Commission meeting to order for March 2nd, 2022. If you would rise and join us in the invocation and pledge, please.
Heavenly Father, today we could come together, not to ask for ourselves, but for ask for the people that are suffering, that are being killed, that are being treated unmercifully in the Ukraine, that we can offer up our hearts to you, Lord, that you somehow find peace. We know with you all things are possible. With men and women we are limited, but you are not, Lord. You're all sovereign. You're all perfect. We just pray that whatever is to come out of this, that you would be involved as you are in everything, and that somehow, some way, good, the light will overshadow the darkness. The darkness can never win, Lord, with your presence. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Hinkle, you are on Zoom, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
If somebody wants to speak publicly, yes, you have to sign.
Not if you're on the agenda.
Right, right. On the agenda?
Not if you're on.
If you're on the agenda, you do not. Okay, that's okay. Okay, Sandra Patterson, did you want to speak now?
May I, please?
Sure.
Never done anything like this before, so you don't have to deal with me if I don't do it just right.
It's all right. There is no right or wrong.
I did this at the breakfast table this morning because when I start to speak, you're not going to know what I'm talking about. So therefore, there you go. Hi, Fancy. Anyway, my name is Sandra Patterson. I live at Wolf Summit. Rails for Trails is coming through our area. It presents a problem for me. You all don't know about Wolf Summit, but Wolf Summit in 1857, B&O Railroad in Grafton started tracks down to Clarksburg, from Clarksburg to Wolf Summit, from Wolf Summit to West Union, from West Union to Parkersburg. 1857. Civil War was 1861 to 1865. The current building there was built in 1900 by Michael Dolan. The freight depot was built by Michael Dolan in 1899. There is a pump there. There is a well there. We have people coming up all the time. We have that little sliver of land. If you see on that paper, you'll see it. It comes to more of a point than that, but nevertheless, that's what it is. Michael Dolan built the freight depot, 1899. The main frame red brick building was built in 1900. He built his house right across Old 50, 1900. He owned that land. We bought that parcel of land. Rails for Trails people come down and said, we do not have a deed for it, which we do. We pay taxes on it. They say we don't own it. And they looked at us and kind of grinned and said, eminent domain. Well, I take really big conflict with this. It's not fair, but we have history down there. The pump is still there. 1899. We have it tested every year. It is great. There's so many people coming up and down, not people from Wolf Summit, but people from out of our area. We put a pile of gravel, a pile of sand, and the boards left over from a water retaining tank is laying there for a reason, because we kept that land cut and trimmed. And we got up one morning and we had people that made tents down on our property. They leave all their mess, they come back, they keep coming back. So far in a year and a half, we have had a Chevy truck completely redone, parked there for 2 days, so that we could get the garage ready for it. They come down and stripped it of everything. Not people from our area, people from another area in Clarksburg. They stole our jackhammer. They stole a 15-foot trailer. I couldn't keep gas in my truck because it was dark on that end of the house. I had to put up 3 street lights so I can drive my truck with gas in it. So I come here today because I need your help, Harrison County citizen. And I want you to know that being a Harrison County citizen, I enjoy that. We're not metropolitan, we're nice people. But these people are not residents of Harrison County. These people are residents of Parkersburg or wherever. So I take great opposition to the fact that they're coming in here and telling me that this piece of property they can take from me for no reason, because it doesn't impede the railroad track. It doesn't, it's there, it's that little piece of land, but it's my little piece of land and my little pump, and I want it there. The people that come through doing the fiber optics a few months ago, you know about that? Okay, they told, Rails for Trails told them, well, you impeded the track, the bed. So after hundreds of tons of gravel that they put in there to rectify their mistake, the man told me, he said, we did all that because Rails for Trails people said, we impeded the track. However, anyone that knows anything about that track knows that that's been a swamp for 100 years. So I question Rails for Trails people, I really do. And I come here today, you're my representatives. I expect you to step up and say, hey, this little piece of property does not impede anything. It's just sitting there. And I'm trying to keep that pump preserved for people when they ask me, why is it there? I can tell them, and I can tell them the history of that area. Of course, that CSX tracks in, but when it was put through there to Parkersburg, it was being up. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time. There's no one signed up in here to speak. Is there anyone on Zoom that wishes to speak publicly? Anyone on Zoom wish to speak publicly? Hearing none, we will go to 10:05 funding request. Harrison County, West Virginia Historical Society, Sherri Heavner. Sherri. Sherri, are you on Zoom? Is anybody out? Oh, voices.
Sherri Heavner. Sherri Heavner. No one out there.
Okay, what's the pleasure on the 10:05 funding request? Do we want to request them to come, or do we want to take action? Are they supposed to be here? They were supposed to be here.
I'll make a motion to allocate $5,000 to them this year.
I'd like to amend that motion. To $6,500, what we gave them last year.
Okay, he's fine with amending the motion. Motion's been made to allow a donation of $6,500 to the Harrison County, West Virginia Historical Society. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion carried. Number 2, consent agenda. What's the pleasure? Motion to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 3, payroll change notices. We have A through E. What's the pleasure?
Motion approved A through E.
Motion's been made to approve A through E. Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I see where we're I have all these people listed, but I understand we have an employee who has been suspended without pay, and I don't see anything on here for us to approve any payroll change for that person.
Just considered a personnel matter that
Correct.
can't really discuss that.
I'm not asking to discuss it, but it is a payroll change.
But be placed on a future agenda. Any further discussion?
Why wasn't it placed on this agenda?
I'll get with legal.
Did you hear Laura?
No,
She
ma'am.
said she would get with legal and handle it.
Well, I'm going to make a motion to go into executive session for personnel matters.
It is not on the agenda to go into executive session.
I believe under the West Virginia Open Meetings Act or the Ethics Committee, I have a right to make that motion.
It's not on the agenda, Commissioner Hinkle. If you want to go in to discuss matters pursuant to the attorney-client privilege in executive session, that would be permissible because it is arising out of what you perceive should be a payroll change notice. What we have discussed previously is that in these circumstances, the county administrator has, under the county handbook, the ability to control these issues. She is vested with that authority under your all's operating framework. We've had a very similar discussion before.
And again, we are approving today people either getting a raise, getting moved, and this has to still do with somebody's payroll and what they get paid. So I don't see how you do not think that that doesn't fall under the county commission to look at and approve. If we're going to approve somebody getting a pay raise, we're going to approve somebody being paid or not getting paid. I don't know how you have it both ways.
Well, the issue we've talked about before, Commissioner Hinkle, pardon me, is that under your handbook, enacted in 2019, or I should say updated in 2019, the county administrator was vested with authority to suspend people without pay and to report those instances to the 3 commissioners.
Mm-hmm. And to bring it and to bring it to the commission for approval.
It's not what the handbook says. We've had this.
Again, it's a matter of interpretation. Listen, I just made a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel issues.
Okay, the motion has been made to go into executive session for personnel purposes. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay, the motion is actually still on the floor for number 3, payroll change notices to approve A through E. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion carried. Number 4, minutes and or amended minutes of previous meeting. What's the pleasure?
Motion approved A through D.
Motion to approve number 4A through D. Any discussion on those? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 5, requisitions, purchase orders, invoices as listed on A. Under 5, what's the pleasure?
Motion approved A through.
Motion to approve number 5A. Any discussion?
Questioning what account Prehistoric Planet came out of.
It came out of Parks and, I'm sorry, Parks and Rec.
Did you hear that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. My other question is on Zimmerman and law offices. How many hours was that for?
It's itemized on the bottom of the invoice. There's with each billing entry, they're billed intensive hours, and they're delineated by subject area, topic, matter, issue, in detail. And at the bottom of the invoice, there is a total hour accumulation. I don't have the invoice with me.
I believe Laura is trying to find it.
Just a comment going forward, if we're going to continue to pay Parks and Rec bills, could they please be placed on a separate item and not mixed in with counties' responsibilities? So I'm looking here, I don't know if maintenance and supplies for Sandy's is for Parks and Rec or for us. Sandy's in.
Say something to all of this, but I'm not going to refrain from it.
I'm just, as you go through here, you don't have any idea who these bills are for unless
You would see the invoice and the requisition attached to it. You would know what it was for.
Well, ma'am, why don't we have that on the agenda?
No, it's not necessary. The list is all that is necessary.
Well, I seem to have a lot of questions to ask about these.
Well, if you'd come in and look at them, you would see them.
Mr. Zimmerman, I think you're going to have to reply to that issue.
Commissioner Hinkle, I don't want to digress.
I don't either.
I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't have said anything, but.
So I'd really appreciate if we could be candid and move this meeting forward. There are a lot of people here today to speak on a number of issues, I believe. And if possible, can we move forward? I'm happy to discuss any item in our law firm's billing entries with you individually. I'm certainly happy to do that.
I'm not trying to sing you out. I'm just trying to understand the bill. And
okay, she has the hours. That's what you asked for, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
For Trey, it's 66.7 hours, and for Benjamin Hamlin, it's 4.5.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Motion's been made for number 5A. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 6, exoneration corrective tickets, joint property applications A and B. We have exonerations and corrective tickets. What's the pleasure? Motion to approve number 6, A and B. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 7, consideration of approval of a project fund requisition for the payment of costs associated with the project to be financed from proceeds of the Series 2019 bonds issued for the Charles Point Economic Opportunity Development District Series 2021 A and B, Development District number 3, White Oaks Project number 2, and Series 2008A, Charles Point number 2, Northland Bay. We have one.
Motion to move forward and approve A, please.
Okay, motion's been made to move forward and approve number 7A. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Number 8, consideration of approval of project fund requisitions for the payment of costs associated with the General Services Administration building project to be financed from proceeds of the Series 2020 bonds issued for the Harrison County Building Commission. A, requisition number 51 for Rycon Construction, Inc.
Motion approved requisition for $1,465,633.75 for Rycon and for the building of the new GSA building.
Okay, motion has been made to approve number 8A. Any discussion?
I would like to make a mention of with this requisition for Rycon, it's actually taken their retainage down from 9% to 5% for how much we hold back on that. And Glenn you're supposed to be online if you would have any questions, but talking to Chad Biller and talking to Glenn myself, they recommend that it is approved.
Any further discussion?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to hear an explanation on why we're doing that.
Glenn, are you online, please?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Hinkle, the standard AI contract has a provision for the 10% retainage to be reduced to 5% at 50% completion of the project, which Rycon is beyond 50%. And that provision is if the architect and owner agree that the progress of the work has proceeded with acceptable quality of materials and workmanship, that it's not necessarily a reduction at 50%, it's a reduction in the future. So right now, the county has in retainage 10% up through just beyond 50%. So right now, the county is holding $908,409. That's Rycon's retainage. So instead of reducing it to a true 5, what the state supplemental provisions allow is that future pay applications from Rycon be paid in full with no retainage taken out. So you will always have till the end of the job $908,409 for issues that may arise. So it progressively gets lower towards the end of the job as they build closer to the 15.6 million final number. But right now it's probably a little over 8%, between 8 and 9%. So you're not reducing what you're holding now, you're paying in full in the future. Is that a good enough explanation?
Yes.
Any further discussion?
I may add also that their surety had to agree to this also, and we have the paperwork and it's attached to the pay application that the surety for Rycon has agreed to this reduction also.
Thank you, Glenn. Okay, all in favor of paying the requisition under 8A, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Review, discuss, consider letter to Alcohol Beverage Control Commission, Dollar General Store, 22438 in Wallace.
Pike and Shinson.
Motion approved as stated by the county administrator.
Motion to approve number 9 as stated. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion carried. And number 10, review, discuss, consider Chestnut Street water line replacement project. We received a letter from the Clarksburg Water Board. I don't know if you all want to speak to this or Paul. Okay. Just identify yourself so that we know you, but just identify yourself for the record.
Paul Howell, President, Clarksburg Water Board. You guys didn't see this letter. I won't reread the letter, but the purpose is for our Chestnut water line replacement project. Like you guys know, the Clarksburg Water Board is autonomous from municipalities in the county. So we were not served by this American Rescue Plan Act monies. And as you guys know, the monies is for infrastructure, water, sewage, internet. So what we're doing is we're asking the city of Clarksburg and the city of the county commission for $1 million each. This is a $2.15 million project. We have $150,000 set aside for this. This is a major project for the county. This is going to replace over 2,100 feet of 24-inch water line, which directly comes out of our water treatment plant and affects 95% of the water users in this county. So it is a countywide project. It's something we've been looking at for a while. You know, with infrastructure, it's important to always look how you're going to get funding. We try to go for grants. Our rates are often too low to qualify. So this is an opportunity for us to take a big project that we've been looking at and to you know, update our system. It would be great for our water loss. It would be great for our customers outside the city of Clarksburg, and of course, customers inside of Clarksburg. So we respectfully request if you have any of that ARPA money, we'd love to have $1 million to help us get this project off the ground. And we have engineering study from Thrasher if you care to look at any of the costs. Thank you.
I don't know what to say, guys. I mean, this whole room, that's what everybody's here for. There's no doubt in my mind. And I personally wish we could give it to everybody. But we're in the middle of a budget season right now, and most of the ARP money, if not all of the ARP money, has been designated. I mean, Clarksburg, we did give money to, and I would hope that they would help you out.
You gave money to the city of Clarksburg for infrastructure?
ARP, I mean, we haven't given it to them yet, but it's been allocated.
Because we're still in discussions with them. And,
it was allocated to the city of Clarksburg.
I don't know, something about allocated. I don't know if he's asking when it was allocated.
Yes, how much was allocated to the city of Clarksburg?
300,000.
300,000, Commissioner Hinkle.
How much have you all applied for any grants for this pipeline to be replaced?
We have, but we don't apply. We don't qualify for a lot of our grants because
you're not connected to the city. Is that correct?
Well, we don't get looked at for this ARPA money because we're not connected with the city. But like we apply for grants often, but we're turned down because of our population base and our rates. You know, we're not rewarded for being fiscally responsible. So we often don't get our grant money. There is some grant money that we have an opportunity to take advantage of with our lead line replacement. And of course, that's another project that's going to be close to $50 million. But with this project we've had on the docket for a while, we just don't have the funding yet. We've been looking at rate increases to fund it. But with this infrastructure money, we're hoping we can get some of it and actually put this in place and not have a rate increase in the county. That's our idea.
And Clarksburg was awarded $6.7 million.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
We've got 300,000 or $7 million of Clarksburg siting for water storage drain.
I would hope that Clarksburg would step up.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I'm Al Cox, for the record. Been on the water board for 21 years. As we said, we have two issues facing us. The first thing came around was the Chestnut Street replacement program. The second issue is going to be huge, $55 million. Lead line replacement and so on. This line does affect the whole county. There's a fact of life. You have to have water, air to breathe, oxygen. Second, you have to have water to drink. What we're doing is going to affect out of this county of about 65,000 people, 63,000 people will benefit from it. And so we're trying to say that we're trying to minimize rate increases as much as we can because ARPA money was designed for water, sewage, broadband. And because of the nature of our makeup, we're recognized as a municipal type of government unit. If you look at the way the thing is set up by the state, the only thing that wasn't carved out, they wouldn't have access directly to ARPA funds. Our congressional delegation realizes the problem that created and so on. So anyway, we're trying to come up with sources to get this project done without raising rates to everybody. There's a lot of projects. A lot of people here need money. Everybody needs money. But the one thing about it is I hear things about projects for recreation and this thing and that thing and so on. This project affects everybody's daily life. They have to drink water, use water. And it's, like I say, 96% of the county gets our water. That's the citizens. Plus, you got to realize, way beyond that, industry, business, schools, and everybody else depends on our water. That's not in those figures. So it's very important we do this. And We started this project back in May, asking for money for ARPA back in May, then had a subsequent letter and hadn't heard anything. And now we know we're here late, that's because we hadn't heard much back. And we're just trying to minimize rate increases to people as we go along. We will have some rate increase, but money from the city and county, they both give us $1 million each. We could have minimized some of that increase because our next project is going to affect a lot of folks in the county. And I know that you've already apparently committed the funds, and when it goes to the city, I'm not sure what's going to happen there either. So in the end, what will happen is if we don't get any help, the citizens of this county are going to have probably a pretty significant rate increase. So I just want to pass that along. And I thank you. I realize it's very difficult where you see it to make those decisions.
And it's getting more difficult every day.
Susan, all of you.
Believe me, I'm a resident of Clarksburg and I want to have good water and I appreciate my low rates, but at some of these places here, that's why, I mean, they're having to raise rates. And I think some of it's very high, probably too high, but sometimes we got to do that. We shouldn't wait every time. But we can take this into consideration and unless David, did you have any?
Yes, ma'am. I have several other questions. I'd like to know how much of the funds we moved into general county account of the money that was awarded to us.
It's in its own fund. It's not been moved, correct?
I think you all authorized to move 700,000 out of it the other day, or 800,000.
900,000.
Okay,
Yeah,
we moved 900,000 into our account. Is that correct?
How much were we able to reimburse in full, David? Do you know?
Well, I just want to know what our intentions are with the 900,000 we moved into.
But what I'm asking is, we the 900,000. How much could it have been total? Do you have any idea?
Could have been total for what?
For our shortfall in general county.
As of recently, from IRS rulings, we could have claimed probably all of it.
I think it was 1.6.
But I think that's the
900,000.
We gave the money away for a final ruling. There's a lot of counties that are considering taking all of it or at least half of it. And
You think they're not going to put this in water and sewer?
I'm just asking what we're doing with the 900,000.
Were you attended in the meeting? What meeting was that? Does anybody know?
Patsy. Okay, we'll play it. Is the 900,000 going to rails trails?
700,000 is.
So I'm gonna make a motion that the 700,000 that we moved into rail trails be held in reserve until the city of Clarksburg or water board can determine how they're going to finance this, and that being made available to them if they come up with a shortfall from 700,000 to zero, anywhere in between, that we will make up the difference with that money. I think this is more important than rail trail. So I'm asking to make a motion to hold that money in reserve until Clarksburg Water Board can sort out the rest of their financial obligation for this. If they cover it all, we can spend the money on rail trail. If they come up short of $500,000, we've held it in reserve. They come up short 700,000, we have it available.
We've already voted on that, David. How come you didn't mention it 3 weeks ago?
Sir, this is the first time I've seen this letter. If they need $1 million.
You're telling me as county commissioner, Harrison County, you didn't know that the Clarksburg Water Board had a Chestnut Street problem, the main thing for all water to 68,000 people in Harrison County?
I mean, you're telling me, sir, as a Harrison County Commission, you haven't bothered to put it on the agenda until today to talk about it? We can play.
I'm going to speak up. This letter is addressed to me and I take full responsibility. Jason called me and I put it on the agenda. Does that answer your question?
Oh, I appreciate it, Susan. I'm glad it's on the agenda.
I apologize to the Clarksburg Water Board. I've talked to Jason.
And I appreciate it. But evidently, this is something that we should have discussed before we started spending money.
David, once again, the Clarksburg Water Board meetings are open to the public, much like
Patsy, hey, listen, I'm not gonna.
David, I'm talking, I'm respectful of you, and you get 90% of the meeting and I get 5. But the Clarksburg Water Board meetings are open to the public, much like the Sun Valley, the Lake Floyd, and the Hepzibah that we went over last week. You're always welcome to attend these meetings, sir. I knew last week that what we were talking about was part of the plan. You did not. I'm sorry, you don't know that the plan for Lake Floyd to get sewage back fed to Clarksburg.
So you
I've done it for 3 years as a commissioner. I'm not
we're
sure
talking
why
about Clarksburg right now, Patsy. We'll get to the others later.
Need to know what's going on with any of our PSDs, and it concerns me.
No, you concern me that
We have a motion on the floor, but I'm a little confused how we can allocate money that's already been reallocate money.
Yeah.
So
now, if you want to find $700,000 within
made,
Time out. We're speaking over each other, and Commissioner Hinkle, I'm just trying to make a clear record. So why don't you speak, because you're on the phone and you're not here, and then
I've made a motion, and I want the motion brought to the floor and voted on.
Now, where's that money going to come from, Madam President? Because that money he's talking about has already been allocated. Does he have a line item within the budget that he wishes to take $700,000 out of?
Motion is to take, what you wanting to take that, where are you taking that money from, David, is the question.
The 700,000 you allocated to the rail trails.
Okay, well, that's already been voted on, sir.
Okay, the motion's on the floor. I'm looking to take the $700,000 that's been allocated and hold it in, what was the term? God, thank you, whoever that was, in reserve for the Clarksburg Water Board. Do I have that correct, Mr. Hinkle?
pending a determination as to
What the city's going to do.
funding from the city of Clarksburg.
Thank you, Trey.
Madam President, I bring back my motion. The city of Clarksburg's water board will have to find another way. I see that my fellow commissioners are not going to approve any funding for them. So I'm going to redo my motion. I'm going to redo my motion that we give the city of Clarksburg $1 million. And that we had the capability to find it out of several line items, and I'm not going to list them all today. But
can you list one?
Never mind. Let's just.
How about the county?
The retirement?
I'm not even going there. Again, my motion is to give them the $1 million.
Okay, motion's been made to give Clarksburg Water Board $1 million.
The motion was just to give Clarksburg $1 million. Maybe Commissioner Hinkle,
Sorry.
Clarksburg Water Board.
Maybe I just
Thank
need
you.
to. Are we giving it to the water board? You got me so confused now. I don't know where I'm at. Anybody? Water board? Clarksburg Water Board.
Yep.
Okay, motion's been made to give the Clarksburg Water Board $1 million, and we need to find out where we can take it from. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, and I'm sorry, guys. True. I mean,
it's going to affect all our PSDs.
That's right. It's going to affect everybody. We asked the county this back in May, not today. Okay, back in May, we requested $1 million and never heard anything. But I'm disappointed. But I understand that you have priorities. So, all right, guys. Thank you for much.
okay, number 11, review, discuss, consider fair housing resolution and fair housing affirmative action plan. Okay, what are we doing?
The resolution is just stating that we give meaning and guarantees all equal rights contained in the Constitution. I'd like to read it, it's attached to the agenda. By signing this, it just allows the resolution to go on record, and then later on it'll allow for us to apply for grants for fair housing.
So this is for grants eventually. That's
eventually, yes.
Okay. Okay, what's the pleasure on number 11?
Motion approved.
Motion's been made to approve number 11. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And a fixed signature, correct? Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 12. Review, discuss Lumberport water issues, Salem water and sewage issues, city manager or mayor. C is Anmore water issues, city manager or mayor. D is Sun Valley PSD attorney and president. E is Lake Floyd PSD president, and Hepzibah PSD board members. So I guess we want to take this in. David, what are your thoughts on this? I believe this is your line.
Ma'am, I'd like to take them as the individuals.
You want to take them the way they are, A through F?
One at a time.
Okay.
Is there somebody from the town of Lumberport to discuss their water issues?
He is passing out the information right now. Just identify yourself for the record, please, sir. And
my name is Clark Ellis. I'm on the town council at Lumberport.
Why don't you identify who else is here? Can you identify everybody who's here from Lumberport? Just have a clear record.
We have a mayor, Betty, and
Yeah, recorder.
Town recorder.
can you give us your full names?
Betty O'Dowd.
Okay.
Lexi Mayfield.
in the last fall, we started into this. We did an assessment of our water plant. And about 3-4 years ago, we had a dam collapse. We had two dams, about 1 acre apiece. One of the upper dam collapsed. We now have about 1 surface acre of water supply. We have an old antiquated dam. As you can see, there's a crack across the dam about 3 foot down. And it goes clear across. The concrete in the dam and the structure has been deteriorating since this thing was put in about the late 50s. Now, inside you can see the equipment is antiquated, but we also only have this one source of water. If this water becomes contaminated, we're dead in the water. We're going to have to pull water in and tank. So we were looking at an alternative to either repair this plant or get an outside source. So we've been in contact with the city of Shinnston about them supplying us water. So it would take, they're agreeable to sell us water, and we would have to run a line from where the power plant is to our tanks, which is about 7,700 feet. That project would cost about $2.16 million. If there's an 8-inch line that runs from the Gypsy power or Gypsy tanks that Shinnston owns to the power plant. That 8-inch line was put in by the power plant. If we can connect to that, which they allow, we've got a feasibility study that we joined with Shinnston. We haven't had a meeting with the power plant to see if we can connect into that 8-inch line. If we can, that would cost us about $2.17. If we can't, we're going to have to run a line from there on up to the Gypsy tanks, an 8-inch line, which would cost another $1.12 million. So the total project would be 3.27 million, if that be the case. If we run the line, we'll run it to our tanks, we'll be responsible for the maintenance of that line and the distribution, collection of monies, and that in that area. Now, right now we have a fair water loss, about 50, a little bit over 50%. Some of that is through the meters that we have, which are old. And it's a known fact that they're not as accurate as the newer meters. We would also like to put in a radio read meter system, which would cost us an additional $430,000, which would reduce our water loss. So we're in this feasibility study. We won't get back until it won't be complete for another 3 or 4 months. We entered into the agreement with Thrasher between Shinston and us. We're splitting the cost on that. So at this point, we're a small town. We don't have a whole lot of income, very little. We don't have a dairy mart, which is down for construction, remodeling. We get a little bit of income from the tax, from the real estate tax, from the power plant, from the gas company, from our B&O tax. That's about it. So we are looking for any amount of financial assistance that we can possibly get. We can use all the help we can get. So we've been in contact with a few of our senators and delegates to see if we can get some help from the state, but we're coming to the county commission to see if we can get some financial assistance to help us complete this project. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Sir, has anybody from the commission contacted you about this or attended any meetings?
Yes, we've been in contact with, personal commission.
And who would that be?
Patsy.
So how long has Mr. Treecost known of this issue?
Well, we've known the Lumberport had a bad water system for about the past 10 years.
Mr. Treecost, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the gentleman that's there. I'm asking him the questions. Thank you.
How long do you think that?
Patsy, again, I'm not talking to you.
How long has it been bad?
Yeah.
I'm not sure because I haven't really been in it. I know the water is not good. Nobody really drinks it.
How long do you think it's been bad? Betty?
20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. 20 years, David, the water's been bad there.
The water's high in mineral content, especially with calcium, and it builds up in the lines. You have to clean anything that you use, like water, your coffee pots, anything of that nature. Everybody uses bottled water.
Sir, has anybody from the commission advised you to get with our planning department or our grants department?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Yes, sir, they did.
And where are you at with our planning department and grants department at this point?
We're in the early studies right now just to see if with Shinston, Trey Zimmerman is representing us on it, to see if the water coming from Shinston on the line would be feasible at this time.
Okay, but has our planning department attended any of these meetings between you all and Shinston?
No, Region 6.
Harrison County sent any representatives to these meetings?
No.
So we have not had anybody attend these meetings, or you have not talked to anybody in our grants department to help you apply for grants. Or did you know that was available?
We knew that it was available, yes. We just wanted to, before we went to that level, we wanted to make sure that us hooking up with Shinston was going to be a feasibility there. I mean, there was no reason to go through everything if we wasn't going to be able to hook up to them. Yeah, because we can actually come another route and come and ask Clarksburg. But being that Shinston was a little closer, we started there first.
Okay, so Shinston and you are working together to bring this water line to Lumberport, or are you all operating separately?
We're working
together.
We're working together.
Yes.
Well, that's a good thing. I guess what I don't understand is this is going to be crossing probably county and not in any city, and I'm trying to understand why our planning department hasn't been involved. But that's not for you all to answer. Again, if this was known by people at the commission, and I received a letter last week about it, I think we gave Shinston money, and did we give you all money, pledge you money?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Hinkle, Betty's kind of nodding at me, and this is Trey. They're kind of, just to bring you full circle, there are two critical first issues that Shinston and Lumberport are looking at. Number one is it doesn't do them much good to buy water from Shinston if 50% of it just bleeds out all over the ground. That's the first issue that Thrasher's looking at. The second issue is Shinston has a dedicated line to the power plant, and they have to provide a fixed quantity of water. And so the second main issue is it feasible for Shinston to provide and continue to honor their commitments made in the 70s or 80s to the power plant after the installation of modern scrubbers out there? And can they still serve Lumberport while meeting that commitment to the power plant? Those are sort of the two initial key issues Thrasher is looking at in the feasibility study.
They're also looking at the possibility of what it would cost to redo the plant and the dam.
And let's bring you up to date a little bit more, Commissioner Hinkle. In the month of December, the two respected mayors had an agenda item, and they have formed a committee that is a joint committee with Lumberport and Shinston representatives. So in December, they were moving forward on this.
Again, I'm trying to understand why our county planning not is involved in this, and why we don't have a seat at the table to bring these two communities and get them water together.
Well, we all have a seat at the table.
Why we're not looking to help them to fund it.
We are helping to fund it, and we are all working diligently in the meetings that are open to the public if you would wish to attend.
Again, why is planning not doing that? That's their job.
Well, I think that you've made your point, and Laura's nodding her head. We'll have planning attend each of the next council meetings if you would like.
I thought you said they had a committee together. Why aren't we attending that committee? Are you attending those committee meetings?
If there's a committee meeting, I probably will.
I thought planning only dealt with PSDs, not municipalities.
Yeah, but if they're
planning is supposed to overlook everything going on in the county.
I'm just asking, David. I'm not saying
I think every municipality in the room right now knows that as a county that we'll offer any service we can, from grant writing to planning, for anything, sir. I don't think we turn a deaf ear or a blind eye to anybody within the county.
And Commissioner Hinkle, this is Trey. I mean, I think getting planning involved is a good idea, but ultimately it's a PSC issue here in part in terms of the historical framework of looking at these issues, and the concept for the agreements is something traditionally the PSC is handled. Whether we have to bring that to you all at the end of the day is something we have to look at. But certainly we can get planning out there. There's a joint committee that meets between Lumberport and Shinston, and it's all been developed within the framework of Region 6 having an active role in assisting in that process, just to give the parties guidance more so than anything. But certainly it's a good idea to have the county there.
And for the record, Mayor, when will your next City Hall meeting be?
April.
April, do you know?
First Monday in April.
First Monday in April, Lumberport has a council meeting day. Just so we can back up a little bit.
5:30.
5:30. It's at 5:30 in Lumberport.
The community center.
At the community center. And just to back up, Paul, when is your next meeting open to the public?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday is the meeting for the Clarksburg Water Board if you wish to attend it.
3 o'clock.
At 3 o'clock at the Clarksburg Water Board on Chestnut Street in Clarksburg.
Well, Patsy, I'll let you handle that and come back and report to us, because that seems to be something that you seem to have a very good knowledge of. And I want to.
And you're welcome to attend those meetings with me, sir.
But I'm sorry that you haven't felt the need to come back and tell us what's going on. My final recommendation, the Lumberport. As far as your cash goes, it seems that we're going to set a precedent, or we set one last meeting, is for you all to go see Greater Harrison County PSD, sit down with them, you and Shinston, and see how much money they're willing to give back up. That seems to be how we're going to operate going forward, that it's going to be up to where we've given the money out for other people to go see if they can get that money back, and we can reallocate it. So I would advise you all to sit down with Greater Harrison. They have $8 million. The other two PSDs sat down with Sun Valley and clawed back $2 million. So that would be my recommendation to the town of Lumberport.
And Madam President, just for clarification, so that everyone knows in the room, the Sun Valley allocation of dollars that we discussed last week was always a part of the plan. We've known that Lake Floyd was failing for some time as well, long before I was ever on the county commission. And we, as far as waste treatment, and the plan has always been, if the money was available, to backfeed the waste to Clarksburg, which would help Clarksburg with a revenue source, as well as take care of Lake Floyd and their waste. And then the allocation of $500,000 to Hepzibah was always a part of the plan. And for some reason, I'm not sure why someone on the county commission wouldn't know that sits on this bench. But there was no changes. There was no changes in plans last week. It was always the plan. And again, those meetings are open to the public if you would like to know the plan.
Yeah, but okay, Patsy, let's just look the plan. You gave the money to Sun Valley and you expected Sun Valley to give it to another PSD. If you knew this other PSD needed the money, why did you give it to Sun Valley?
Done with Lumberport.
Hey, he's the one that brought it up, Susan. I didn't.
Are we done with Lumberport? I don't care who's talking.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
I'd just like to make a comment to Lumberport.
Identify yourself, Jason.
Oh, Jason Myers, General Manager for Clarksburg Water Board. We would be interested in being part of your study and see if it's an option for us to help you out as well.
Thank you.
Yes. Rasher is also our engineer as well.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Are we ready to move to Salem?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Who's up for Salem? Mayor or city manager or both?
The city manager is here. All right. Okay.
Hey, Bobby, identify yourself for the record, please.
Bobby Samples, Mayor of the city of Salem. We do have a water problem. We have water loss, and it has been between 52 and 72%. We buy water from Clarksburg. We have applied for a grant in order to be in compliance with that grant. We've had to fulfill the Senate Bill 234, which is to have the reserve account to a certain standard. So that required raising rates, water rate increase. It's going to be 55.6%. And we have, it has passed unanimously in council. We've had the first reading and the second reading. Now goes to the PSC for a 45-day comment period. Do I like the rate increase? No. Do we have to do it to receive the grant? Yes. I believe $1.2 million or so will come from the Jobs and Infrastructure Council, and the other part will be from Small Cities Block Grant, as I understand. Region 6, Sheena Hutt has handled that for us, along with Steve Haynes from Thrasher Engineering. So we're well on our way. I've signed the paperwork. That line replacement, that cost, that line, that 3.2 million, is from the old Hardin School to Harvard Funeral. That's an old line. It's going to be a tough line to replace. Most of it is going to be in state road right-of-way. Not going to be an easy project by any means. I understand that. But it needs to be done. That line was put there in 1956 and 1958. And I made the comment in city council meeting. I said, well, 1958, my parents got married. That's a long time ago. Did anyone in that evening have a vehicle from 1958? No. You've got to do modernization. It's important. You have to do modernization. That's all there is to it. And it's costly to do it. Now, it's sewer. We'll go to that. E.L. Robinson, Jeff Petrie. We've done the study. Our maximum flow is beyond what it should be. That plant's only a 400,000 gallon plant. We've run many times double that and beyond. So we got ground plants. We're going to double the capacity of that plant. The cost of that will be about 10.2, 10.3 million. What that is. We've had the public hearing for that also at the same time. That the sewage rate increase will be 25%. Do I like raising rates? Again, I say no. It passed unanimously, and it goes to PSC for 45-day comment. And we'll go from there. But we have to do this modernization. We've got to be proactive in doing it. And at the same time, we have to get the rainwater, the surface water, out of the sewage system. And call it the I&I. It was something that clear back in the time when I was in college and getting my degree, we talked about more than 40 years ago. Now it's a requirement. It was highly advised back then. Now it's a requirement. So we have to do that. It's part of it. And I'll even go on to say that we held a mayor's meeting. They're back September the 6th. All the mayors, and I believe most of all the communities were there. And we had a discussion. Elected representatives were invited. I think most of them attended. And every community had the opportunity to bring forth what they needed in their community. Our community is probably one of the highest ones. We even, at that particular meeting, back in September, we estimated to do the water line, and that's not in this project, by the way. This was separate. If any elected officials could get us some extra money to replace the water line underneath the 4-lane, then go be at the flashing light, 50 across, and would go out 23 for a little ways. Wouldn't even go to the Dodge County line. And that estimate was 500,000. So that's something else. And that's an old line. That's an old galvanized 2-inch line. Again, it's just important that we replace, we upgrade infrastructure. We want to look to the future. We have to do that. I understand. I've taken some heat. I'll continue to take heat. That's fine. I'll do it. But we have to upgrade. There's no other way. Thank you for your time. And I'm not here to ask for money.
I just have a couple questions. So in order to do this through the grant, under Senate Bill 34, you have to do all these upgrades and raise the rates.
That's right.
And how much is the cost of your total project?
Well, the water project's 3.2. Am I right on that?
Yeah.
The city manager's here. He can.
3.2 on the water, 10.2 on the sewer. And we have to use our rescue money to do the study with the engineering. Our engineering on the water is pretty much done. That's where we put all of our money for it to have all the engineer done, ready to run with it when we come up with money. He's not here to ask for money, but I that's my job to find the money. They done our Main Street project in 3 different, for money wise, like 3 different entities. And we actually went through and done a leak study and trying to find out where most of the leak is if we have lead lines, just like Florida.
Can you identify yourself?
It's Ronnie Davis, city manager.
Thank you, Ron.
Like I say, we have lead lines like everybody else. We need to replace them. Like I said, there is a little bit of money I think Bill from the state for that. And any amount of money we can get a hold of, we would appreciate. We're trying to get money to do the smallest section of while we're waiting on grants to come by to try to minimize our loss. Again, I go back to down here with Clerk, I just follow what their problem is. I think they got a lot bigger problem than we do. Because like they said, it's going to trickle down to all. We're all going to have it effect. So whichever way, like I said, I mean, whether we all just start towards helping get that money for them, and then worry about our problem, that we figure that out. The way I look at it right now, and I apologize for not attending their meetings. I'll probably get that Tuesday meeting just to get filled in on everything. Kind of thought it was a perfect world there, but whatever you guys can do to help. We definitely appreciate you at any time. Thank you.
I have no questions of Salem. Does anybody else?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor, you referenced that the mayors of Harrison County got together and discussed their issues.
Yes.
Did you as a group of mayors reduce anything to writing to send to the commission, your senators, your federal elected officials from that meeting?
There was a list that was composed that night. The secretary of the Mayor's Association, the Mayor's Group, has that list, and we all had a copy of it. And all those that were there that evening, I think afterwards it was compiled and put out to them. I'd have to go back and make sure. And that right is the secretary, so she would have all that information.
I'd like for staff to find if we received any information from that meeting.
I could probably provide it for you too, David. I was in attendance.
I'm asking staff for the letter, Patsy. If you received the letter personally or directed to you, then.
No, I just attended the meeting and received the information that was passed out that evening.
Did you confirm any of that information with the commission?
Susan, were you at the meeting?
Yes, I was.
Susan was at the meeting too, David. We apologize.
You were all
We
invited.
didn't give it to you. I'm sorry.
I
think you were- but you were-
I'm just
but
trying
you
to
were
understand
invited.
why the commission didn't feel the need to put it on the agenda of the day to talk about it if there's all these issues with all these cities and the water.
Well, again, it was open to the public, sir. And you were invited.
Again, Patsy, going to a meeting and putting it on the agenda is two different things. I can go to meetings all day long, but if I don't want to find the answer.
Okay, let's get back on track here. Any more questions for Salem?
Yes. I'd like for Salem to that you have a high water loss. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And is that due to your lines that run within the city?
Yes.
Okay. And to fix all these lines is how much total?
Well, this is the last one that we have that we really need to do. That's the one will start at Hardin School, the old Hardin School. It's referred to now as the Methodist Church, but it starts there and then comes up through town and continues westward to Harvard Funeral Home, which is the junction there of Long Run.
And the reason that you're requesting this increase from the state PSC is to do what with the extra money?
Well, it's the reserve and maintenance account.
Okay.
In order, we have to increase rates to fulfill the requirements of the repair and maintenance account.
So at this point, you don't, your balance in that is underfunded.
That's right. So if you don't raise rates, just the grant goodbye. So it ends right there.
And how much do you all need to have in that to make sure that you can get grants?
Well, that rate increase is, as I said, 55.6%.
It's about $180,000.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was trying to think of what it was on the average bill, and it's, what is it, $25 a bill on water, roughly?
Yeah.
What I was thinking.
So you're applying for two different grants?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
One for water and one for sewer. We've been very aggressive, progressive. I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
If you had a request today from the Harrison County Commission in the way to funding, either help reduce that increase or to help you accomplish these projects, what would that be?
I really don't have a funding request. We were going to go through the proper procedure here, but
this is just
gladly accept any amount that the commission would be willing to give us, but we were going to do it with the increases.
Sir, Mayor, all I want to know is that I'm not saying you're making one, but if you had the opportunity to ask, what would that number be to help reduce this increase to the citizens of Salem? What would that have taken from the commission to have helped you reduce that?
I'm going to say, just roughly off the top of my head, we're probably looking at 200 to 250,000, and divide that up between the water and the sewer to help reduce those increases.
How much would it lower? How much would it reduce that increase?
We probably could get that down much lower. But
How much is much lower? You're looking at how much total? Water and sewer.
Oh my.
Almost 100%.
We get it probably.
Okay, well, how would that
5 or 6%
percentage? How
increase.
much lower could that percentage go if you had that $200,000?
Just off the top of my head, without really reviewing all of it, I would say we'd probably get down to probably an 8 to 10% increase.
You mean to tell me $200,000 is going to reduce that increase
No,
from
I
100
don't
to?
think it would be that low. No,
That's what I'm trying to do.
I think you're still probably looking at least about 20% in both.
Okay, so you're gonna reduce, okay.
At least that. And not without talking to the accountant, I hate to, anything and stuff.
There's other items that go into that accounting procedure.
Oh, I understand. I'm trying to understand. Sorry, David, I didn't mean to step on you.
No, Susan, I'm glad you understand what I'm trying to get at is, I don't know, how many people do you all serve?
700.
And most of these people are on low income.
Yeah, it's an older community.
Many are.
So I guess I'm going to go back to then again that to be responsible stewards of the money that we've received and that what we're presently spending, it sounds to me like if anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000 reduces these increases to these citizens, I think that it's something this commission should sit down with the city of Salem and try to work something out and try to figure out how we don't allow our citizens to get hit with this kind of a rate increase. If we can do it with that small of a number of dollars.
Well, we've already allocated $100,000 to them, David. Why don't you come back to the commission where you'd like to take $100,000 out of in the budget, and if it's possible, we'll help them.
Well, I don't have to take it out of the budget, Patsy. I want to take it back from the $8 million that we gave Greater Harrison.
No, that's already been allocated for a waste treatment plant, which is part of the 10-year plan.
Then I don't want to take the money that you allocated back to Sun Valley. I want Sun Valley to keep the $2.5 million. That's you can't have it both ways.
It is Sun Valley, David. They're going to take over Lake Floyd as well as Hepzibah.
You don't have any proof of that.
Well, the process already started for
Hepzibah. Don't have any proof of that.
Once again, if you attend the public service meetings,
you don't have any proof of that. I'm not.
Okay, any more questions for Salem?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that the city of Salem come back at the next meeting and show us where they can at least reduce this by half. If we do on whether or not another 100 or 200,000 on top of what we already pledged helps you guys get this cost down. I feel it's our fiduciary duty to spend this money properly.
You get that information, just send it to us and then we'll go from there.
As soon as I get back and we'll start getting.
I mean, get with your account. I want to make sure we have a good solid number.
Wait a minute, before.
And I want to know how much it's going to reduce your rates.
That's weight, not
is that going to mess up your grant that you've already applied for? I mean, I want the rates to go down. I'm not here to, but I don't want to,
Let's give some time, a little bit of time. I'm not sure we could get that done by next Wednesday. And the reason I say that is because of the accounting firm. He may not have time. This is taxes.
So I'm saying, I mean, you get with your accountant and if you could have it as soon as possible. Is that fair, David? Get the information to us all.
2 weeks would be.
I'm fine with 2 weeks. I just don't want the PSC making a decision if we can turn around and reduce this.
That'd be greatly appreciated.
I mean, I just think it's something that needs to happen and it's happened as fast as we can make it.
There's a lot of things that should have happened. I'm sitting here looking at how many millions of dollars these people need, and we're building a building across the street that probably could fund some of this. Sorry, I had to say it. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you,
Mr. Manager.
Anything else for Salem?
I do have one, Bobby, when's your next meeting? But not like.
It will be the 8th. Let's see, today's the 2nd, so it'll be next Tuesday.
At what time?
6.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And more.
Anna Harvey, recorder for the town of Airport. I guess everybody is questioning about the water break that we had. It lasted 3 days. Pressure engineering has put in emergency funding to the infrastructure council for us because it was over $45,000. We had a report out helping us. Clarksburg helped us. Last year, Derek was out for all 3 days. It was an 8-inch main line, original line, 1952-54. It also was buried under Route 58, pretty much. So when they redid Route 58, they pretty much covered our main line coming through there. We are in the process of getting funding for a water project, which we started a while back. Russia Engineering and Region 6 has been working diligently on that. We didn't qualify for our original amount that we asked for, which was like just shy of $4.5 million. They cut us back to $3,300,000, which is a drop in the bucket. That basically is going to get new water meters, because we're in the same boat of having old meters, and replacing a few lines, which since they have decreased our amount, I have not got with Russia Engineering to see where we're going to have to trim $1 million off of our project. With the $100,000 that you all allotted us, which we greatly appreciate that. We also are getting some sewer issues now. Our sewer is a little bit younger, but it's still 1970s. We get all the sewer from Newport, our side of Newport, Walmart, all that up in there. So usually once or twice a year, we have major backup problems. We had Christmas Eve this year with Walmart, where their sewer was backed up. So we're looking at some studies. Our I&I is also in the 40% range. So with the money that you all allocated us, we're hoping to do some studies on the sewer issues, capacity, and leaks with that money. I don't know what else I can tell you. Any questions?
David, do you have questions?
Yes, ma'am. Your present water system, is it capable for any growth within the city or outside the city limits by any big consumers?
We've had issues that we can't provide, but we have Bridgeport on one side and Greater Harrison on the other side. Of course, we get hooked into Clarksburg. There is probably, that I'd have to say, not a whole lot of potential for growth because of our water situation, which we're trying to correct.
And your town is located right along a major intersection on I-79.
Yeah, we're about 58 and I-79.
Where potential development could happen and would be a good benefit to the town of Anmore.
Yes, we do have several areas that could grow potentially.
So at this point, the only growth that you have is if you allow another city to come in and supply the water. Is that how I understand it?
No, I don't think we're at that point yet. We're just trying to get our system back on track.
Can you come back and report to this commission what this reduction in $1 million and your grant's going to do to your water system?
As soon as I confer with Russia Engineering, we can go through our paperwork.
Staff could keep on track of that and bring Anmore back to discuss these issues, and for planning to get with the city of Anmore and be able to give us a better evaluation of the importance of Anmore's water and sewage system.
Miss Anna, when is your next meeting? When is your next meeting?
Our next meeting is Monday the 7th.
At what time?
7. At the municipal building or Clayfield Avenue.
Thank you.
Do you have any more questions of Ms. Harvey?
No.
Thank you very much, Hannah.
Thank you, Susan.
Next is Sun Valley. PSD attorney and president. Who wants to speak?
Do we need to start with what questions you all have?
You need to ask Mr. Hinkle. Mr. Hinkle, do you have questions of the PSD? I guess identify yourself.
Greg Dale, Sun Valley PSD, President Sandra Patterson, Board Member Kevin Short, General Manager, and I just drew blank, Dave Glover, the attorney. I guess I'll start with, we were initially given 2.5 million, and that put Sun Valley in a really precarious position. We never wanted to complain, as I've said, about receiving $2.5 million, but we are working with Hepzibah and we're working with Lake Floyd. We had a decision to make. We could have taken that money since the motion was made to give it to us, and we could have accomplished a lot of stuff in our area. Would that have been the right thing to do as a good neighbor? It would not have. We would have left the others hanging out to dry. In regards to Lake Floyd, if this money is split up, if it's not, that's fine. Because we're to the point where this has gone so long, it's creating an issue for all of us with rate increases, and there's a plant issue, and there's other things at play with Lake Floyd. Kevin Short and myself attended their board meeting, and we heard the figures for them replacing that plant to tear down and rebuild one. And we had no desire to take over a sewage treatment plant. So what we came up with Thrasher Engineering that works for both districts is we could do a road bore under Route 50 and go east and tie into our existing system, which would go through our lift stations and go on to Clarksburg. And we've already talked to them to see if they can handle that flow. That is a win-win for that area of the county, because over the years, we've had a depletion of residents in our district, around 200, and I'm just round figures. We did a project for around $3 million and served approximately 80 people. You cannot get that kind of bang for the buck. For $1.5 million to help Lake Floyd out in that end of the county, that generates a lot of revenue for us, and it gets that sewer plant issue off of their table. That dense of a population, you can't get that out in the county. That's a win-win for us. We work diligently with Hepzibah, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes and speak for anybody, but you know, we're doing a juggling act with what funds we have. And so what we hear every day, what Kevin and our staff hear, we hear from Hepzibah, why didn't they get more money? The folks in Hepzibah, which is understandable. And, you know, Lake Floyd and then, well, Sun Valley got $2.5 million. Why didn't we get any? Or the Sun Valley customer saying, hey, you guys were given $2.5 million. Why do you want to give it away to Lake Floyd and Hepzibah? So we're stuck right in the middle. And from the conversations that we've had with legal folks, we felt from the get-go, we had no legal way to disperse those funds to two separate other districts. So here we are. And if it gets split up, then I think everybody's to the point, if it gets split up, fine. If it doesn't, fine. We'll just have to figure out how to make things work. So we've got a contingency plan. If it stays $2.5 million in regards to Lake Floyd, my opinion, and I'm speaking for two other board members and the general manager, we would have to back into this Lake Floyd thing, because we cannot pass up an opportunity to get that kind of revenue to help our sewer rates and help them out. You can't get that bang for the buck.
Yeah, it's not rocket science.
So, any questions?
I don't have any questions. I mean, I appreciate you wanting to help these other two out.
It's the right thing to do.
It is the right thing to do. I agree with you 100%.
I'd like to make a comment. I know we've talked about this merger.
This process was started, I believe, for all 3 of you were even on the commission. A lot of these people in the room discussed with previous commissioners about merging PSDs together. It's been several years ago. There were several systems failing. And Mr. Hinkle, this was about 4 or 5 years ago. And at that point in time, we were asked to merge and help and assist a sister PSD. Also, Greer Harrison was requested to take over PSD. I believe as of today, that's still in the process and it is not finalized with Greer Harrison and Coon Drum. It takes time, it takes a lot of effort when you're trying to merge 2 systems. So back many years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, we did an operation and maintenance agreement with a large FMLA PSD to help their system out, and we have just done one with Lake Floyd PSD. We are operating and managing and maintaining their systems to stay in compliance with all the federal laws, state laws, and PSD rules and regulations. So when this money was presented to us, as collective, as a general manager who's assisting with the other 2 PSDs, we are still moving forward with the merger. These O&M agreements went to the Public Service Commission, have been approved, and the end is to merge all 3 systems together. So this money is going to help out all 3 systems. So at the proposed plan that we split this money up, this is going to help Deputy Ball system and Lake Floyd system, which at the end is going to be all one PSD. And that's the goal of, I believe, all 3 boards is to try to keep its rates as low as possible and move forward to grow our districts and stay in compliance with the DEP, the EPA, also the Bureau of Public Health.
And I think that's great that you're all trying to work together. At least I hope that's the way it is. I know this has been talked about for years before I was on the commission, and it is greatly needed.
David Glover, I represent all 3. And I can echo that they have worked great together. Everybody sees the big picture, and they're all correct. The money is being allocated. It's going to get the best bang for the buck. I want to thank you on their behalf for last week and giving the money, because it will certainly be put to good use.
Don't mean to interrupt, Sandra Patterson. I'm just a board member. But is there any problem without them allocated this money? Is there any problem in dividing it up and giving Lake Floyd, Sun Valley, and my mind went crazy. Anyway, the other PSD, their money, and not write one check just to us. I don't want that responsibility of having $2 million and people in the community saying to you, you got $2 million, you know, and these people didn't get. It's what they perceive us doing. And if you could just possibly divide that money up in those individual checks, I would really appreciate it.
Madam President,
We could look into that. I mean,
it's a drawdown anyway. Explain it, Mr. Accountant, that you'll send in the receipts to us and Mr. Attorney, and that then we'll pay as we go. There won't be one check for $2.5 million because we have to, as well as you, have a paper trail for the federal government because we have to turn it in as well.
Just so long as when it hits the paper,
right,
it doesn't say Sun Valley received $2 million.
Right.
Thank you.
But you follow me?
And we're just still waiting on the resolution.
And that's one of the reasons why we wanted a resolution, because the county commission is the entity ultimately responsible for the reporting of the money, and the resolution would spell out money to Sun Valley, money to enlarge Hepzibah, right, money to Lake Floyd.
Yeah.
And I see that resolution here today, right here. I bought it. I knew everybody's going to be here. I'll be this time with the precinct. Certainly do that.
any questions?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
I appreciate the smile.
Aim to please.
Sun Valley, you were awarded $2.5 million for your PSD, correct?
Yes.
When that money was pledged to you, it was pledged to take care of water, sewage, and internet by the county commission when they gave you that money, correct?
Yes.
At any point in time after this money or before this money was sent, it had been relayed to you that you had to spend this money on 2 other PSDs. Think real hard about that question.
Did you say that again? I'm sorry.
Had it been relayed to your PSD that $2.5 million was to be spent by you all on 2 other PSDs, was that ever relayed to you?
No.
And when did it come about that these other 2 PSDs were to get this money?
It was talked about before that, and then I can't remember which meeting it was that when the motion was made to do the 2.5 million to Sun Valley, but this was discussed before. Kevin did a lot of legwork. We've had a lot of meetings, and as soon as we found out about the motion of 2.5 million, we had asked some questions of our accountant and some legal folks that could we legally disperse those funds, and we didn't believe that.
Well, this would be to your attorney. Do you all not have a fiduciary responsibility to keep that money and spend it, or are you going to return it as a whole and then ask for the commission for reallocation?
You want to give it back and then we give it back to her. I think is what he's asking.
What was that? I just, yes.
You want him to give it back and then we give it back to him? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the board was given the $2.5 million to take care of their customers. Do they not have a fiduciary responsibility to take care of Sun Valley's customers with that money?
Yes.
And so is the board fulfilling that duty by returning that money?
I would say not. And that was part of our issue that we got stuck squarely in the middle of this.
That was not our fault. We requested individual funding packages. Sun Valley did not request 2.5 million.
Right.
I know that no request was made on the behalf of anybody we gave the money to. I mean, there was never anything in writing. My question back to the board is, do you have a fiduciary duty that you receive this funding and it's for your customers? It's no different than if the federal government or the state handed you $2.5 million. You're responsible. You were given that money to take care of Sun Valley customers, correct?
Yes.
I'd like to speak, please. My name is Darlene Swagger, Chairman of the Hepzibah Water Board.
Darlene, we'll get to you in a second when we get to Hepzibah Water.
He's in charge now.
Okay.
Sorry.
So I'm still looking for an answer from Sun Valley. Has the board made a motion to return the money, the $2.5 million, to Harrison County Commission?
We have not. We haven't received any funds, but we haven't made a motion to do that. It was our, and I guess you always have to be careful with, we don't believe it was the intent to do the 2.5 million in a lump sum. If that had been the issue all along, we would have had no problem spending those funds on our system. that wasn't the plan from the beginning. So again, we got stuck in the middle and
whose plan was it for you all not to spend that 2.5 million on yourselves? Whose plan was that?
We never had a plan for that.
Excuse me?
We never had a plan for that. That was in
Well, somebody had to tell you all that you needed to spend this money elsewhere. Who did that? Was that, if your board didn't make that decision on their own, I'm trying to figure out why we're even here discussing it.
Well, that was the motion made by the commission, and I don't recall what meeting that was to do the 2.5. That wasn't a Sun Valley issue.
Okay, this commission agreed to give you 2.5 million with the only limits for use for water and sewage for Sun Valley and internet. Are you saying that you all don't need $2.5 million?
No, we could use $2.5 million.
So again, I'm confused. Why did you all decide, and what led you to give the money to other entities instead of this commission giving them the money directly if it's needed? How did it happen how did it happen?
That already. This has been asked and answered. Greg explained that in the beginning.
No, ma'am.
Yes, he did.
This
Sir,
was part of
excuse
the
me.
merger, though. This was part of HEPSPA and us merging. It was all one thing. But it was supposed to be divided up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the end game. $2 million, but it was divided up.
I understand what we're talking about here.
Who said it had to be divided up?
So when I was at a meeting, there was a letter sent to us. Don't ask me who sent it. I do not know. I don't remember that. But the monies was divided up in that letter. So much for Lake Floyd, so much for HEPSPA, and so much for Sun Valley. And underlined it was $2 million at the bottom. But there was allocations for each of these other PSDs. We didn't decide anything. It was decided.
So nobody in the room today can tell this commission how this money got somehow awarded to Sun Valley, and in the next breath, it all gets divided up. Salem, it's a shame you weren't at the table, because you're right next door.
I'd like to speak now.
Darlene, go ahead. You may have the floor.
Darlene Swider, chairman of the HEPSPA ESC. We asked for $1 million for the HEPSPA water project. And I know that Kevin Short, our general manager, was also working with Lake Floyd on a very important problem in their area. But I don't think it's fair to say we didn't ask for money and that he's not our general manager and helps us fiscally with the money that we get.
Darlene, did you ask the commission for $1 million, or did you ask Sun Valley for $1 million?
I asked the commission for $1 million.
Could you please copy me on that letter that was sent and who you sent that to?
You can. I'm sure it was at least 12 months ago.
And we did not consider it.
Project for 3 years.
Did you come to the commission and ask?
No, we sent the letter.
Thank you for the input, Darlene, but somebody.
We do have that letter here, sir. I'm sorry. We do have that letter here, and we will leave it here with you.
Thank you.
We actually asked for 1.8 million.
Sun Valley, are you returning the money?
Commissioner Hinkle, this is Trey. There's no money to return. The money hasn't.
You're going to return the pledge, Trey, the grant. Okay, you're not going to accept the grant. We'll make it easier then. You're not going to accept the grant from the Harrison County Commission. Was that correct?
Well, I
I have a resolution in front of me. What it says is they're going to apportion the money between, I'm trying to just read you the resolution, sir.
I've read the resolution.
Okay.
And so, and you're going to have to explain to me how Sun Valley and their attorney can do it, can turn that money back in and dedicate where it goes. I don't care what that resolution says. That's what's happening.
If it's a use it or lose it, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to take it. And again, that makes us the bad guys. That puts us in the middle, but if that's the way it is, then we're just gonna have to take it and do what we can.
And Commissioner Hinkle, last
Already
week,
been voted on.
last week, the commission.
The resolution is here to be signed.
Voted on this contingent upon a resolution, and if the resolution is here for presentation, it's already been approved. I was just gonna have y'all enter the resolution in the record. The resolution was requested so the commission has a clear record, because at the end of the day, the commission is the entity left reporting to the federal government.
Trey, I understand that you have a resolution and Sun Valley's asking for the commission to reallocate a grant.
I guess the answer is no, they're not going to give it back. It's going to be allocated to the 3 PSDs, period.
It's not up to Sun Valley to make that determination.
It's been voted on by this commission to do that. A resolution is here to be signed.
You guys, I didn't vote for it, and I don't think
you didn't. You didn't.
Because Sun Valley is still saying where a grant is going to be distributed. And if Trey wants to argue that, we can, but that's exactly what's happening there today.
I'm not going to argue with you. It's already been voted on and approved contingent upon the resolution being presented. Instead of arguing, I'm just going to ask you
should advise the commission that that was not proper.
Okay, or do we have any more questions from Sun Valley PSD?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to ask a question of Kevin.
Yes, sir.
How many meetings have you and Mr. Treecost had concerning the money that's being discussed today?
One.
I didn't hear that.
One.
When did you have that meeting?
Been almost when you guys first received the money, when the county commission and the state allocated the money to the counties.
So did you relay this information to your board?
Yes. And it was in the room, there was 2 engineers, there was an accountant who represents multiple PSDs. There was Mr. Treecost, your administrator, and it was general discussion about the money that was coming through the county and how we thought that if we needed money, Harrison needed money, and another system needed money. At that time, there was no rules and regulations. We presented what we were looking to do with the merger, which we're still in and only in agreement with both PSDs, as I stated earlier. And I believe my chairman is correct. The intent of this money was to get these other 2 systems healthy. When they come into our system, then it would not require a major rate increase across all 3 systems. That's Sun Valley, Pepsi Ball PSD, and Lake Floyd PSD, to where these projects will be complete and our rate structure will be at a minimal, if not stay the same.
So just to make sure I understand, you had a meeting with Mr. Treecost, and in that meeting, he told you that part of the money that would be awarded, you all would have to spend at Lake Floyd and at Hepzibah. Is that correct?
No, sir. No, sir.
But how did you know that this money needed to be spent? How did you find out about it?
We requested
also, the letter was sent to the county commission. We requested $1.8 million for Hepzibah's water project. We requested funds for lost revenue, and then also a separate letter was sent for Lake Floyd PSD for their project.
This all started on back with this whole idea of a lot of mergers. We understood it was going to be quite tedious and cumbersome, but we spent a lot of time, money, and resources in trying to move towards accomplishing this, and that is where those figures came from. Kevin has, quite frankly, worked himself to death between the three entities, trying to, as he said, where the rubber meets the road is, if this grant money we get, that means we can fix a lot of things at zero cost and receive a fairly substantial source of revenue. But this whole merger thing we've been working on, we can't move that ball forward. We've only done what we can do. And you know, I don't know what else to say.
And I do believe that was the intent of all three boards. I do know Hepzibah's problem with issues, and I do know now Lake Floyd's problem with issues. It's more than just a plant. It's employees, it's operators, and at the end of the day, if these entities were still out on their own, we would see substantial rate increases for both the Lake Floyd PSD and enlarged Hepzibah PSD. So the merger that we have signed agreements, and that's PSDC, was moving forward to help all three systems. The money that we requested, that was for lost revenue due to the pandemic. We have 3 schools and a lot of industrial customers and commercial accounts. During that period, we lost a lot of revenue. So seeing that, plus with the amount of customers and residents that have moved out of our district and out of the county in a whole, that's the money that we asked to be replaced. And that was part of the intent. The original American Recovery Rescue Plan was for lost revenue, which I think a lot of cities received. Also for water, sewer, and rock.
Does that answer your question?
It scratches the surface, Susan. I still don't understand why they're giving the money back. It sounds to me like they have issues that they need to take care of. They had lost revenues from what I hear, and they need to spend that money within their own system. And I don't think fiduciary wise, if we've made them a grant, that I need to understand why, better why, that they don't feel they need to return that grant. And I don't think I'm getting that answer.
Do you have any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Sharon, did you want to identify yourself?
I'm Sharon Hamilton. I'm board member of the enlarged Hepzibah PSD. We came into an Owens agreement with Sun Valley, I'm not sure how many years ago, 3 maybe, something like that. And I personally respect them for wanting to help our PSD and wanting to share their money to help us further what we have. I know Darlene feels the same way. We were kind of iffy when this merger was brought up to us, whether we want to do it. But we found out it was for our best interest. It will be the best interest for Sun Valley. And I am just so thankful that they have agreed to share their $2 million with Hepzibah.
Which only could have happened because of the merger that the commission asked us to explore several years ago and started the ball rolling.
Sure, the situation right now is that as a commission.
Are we talking Sun Valley still? I'm confused.
Yeah, they're our general manager now.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, we've had people from other PSDs that are supposed to talk.
Because they're all intertwined. Exactly. And that's why Sharon was standing to thank them for taking them in.
They're actually,
as Darlene.
Actually,
PSDs have one general manager.
yeah, right
And it
now,
benefits everybody.
Ma'am, President, each of those people that we're talking about has a board, and that board answers for their actions and what they do. And when we get to them, I understand, but right now we're talking about Sun Valley, not Lake Floyd or Hepzibah. And when we get to them, I have lots of questions.
I'm sorry if I was out of order there, Commissioner Hinkle.
I just didn't know who we were talking because these items are on the agenda.
You've had me confused for a good while, so just keep on asking away. What's your next question? Are you almost done with Sun Valley so we can move on to the other two?
I'm done. I said I was done with Sun Valley.
Okay. Lake Floyd, Steve, would you like to identify yourself, please?
I'm Steve Turner with the Lake Floyd Public Service District. I am the chairman. And this probably won't clarify anything, but I know we entered into an O&M agreement July 1st last year with Sun Valley PSD. Our intent is to merge with them. Right now, the water at Lake Floyd is through Sun Valley. We have a sewer plant that's 37 years old, and it's not in very good shape. We've had problems with the DEP 2.5 years ago before a pandemic, and now approximately August, September of 19, the DEP came in and did a full inspection, and we had some problems that we had to deal with. At that point in time, our board decided that we had to, at that point, we were looking at repairing them. We hired Thrasher Engineering. We put our engineering out to bids, interviewed the engineers. We hired Thrasher, our board did, based off the fact that they are the original engineer on our sewer plant 37, 38 years ago. Been working with Logan Alistanis. So we are moving forward. They did a feasibility study. The results of that showed that we looked at rehabbing our old plant. We're building a new plant. We're boring, directional boring under Route 50 to the rail trail, and then 1.8 miles, I believe, down to Wolf Summit to hook into that sewer, which will then be pumped all the way to the Clarksburg sewer plant. We're at a point, and when we came up with our budget numbers, Thrasher came up with $1.835 million. And all that came about is when Kevin said he was going to come up here and present to the board, or to the county commission, what all he talked about. I knew what the numbers he wanted. I knew originally he came up and asked for the full amount. For us, so much for enlarged Hepzibah, who they have an O&M agreement with for 3 years. Ours has not quite been a full year. It's our desire to merge with Sun Valley, and that way our customers can get one bill a month that has their water from Sun Valley, and it would be their sewer through Sun Valley. That's always been our intentions. There again, I was at that meeting 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whenever it was, where everybody was being encouraged, the small PSDs, to merge into, back then it was Greater Harrison and or Sun Valley. So when it came out that it was 2.5, I think the original 3.5, 3.6 Kevin had asked for, and I said, do we need to come up? He said, no, I'm putting it all out there. And it was always meant to be 3 different people were to receive the money. And the commission voted on the 2.5. We said, fine. Then they sat down and we allotted so much to each public service district. Ours happened to be 1.385. In the meantime, we have already entered into agreements with Thrasher to do the full engineering. I spoke to Logan Alistanis last week. We're about 1 month from being ready to go out for bids to bypass the plant. We signed an agreement with Region 6, Seth DeVault, to be our administrator. That's been signed several months ago. Our attorney that we've signed an agreement with is David Glover to handle that part of it. And we've also got Zach Dobbins to do the accounting work on it. So we're all ready. Our system, our sewer plant supplies sewage services to 153 residential and 2 commercial. So that's 155 total. And it's our desire, and our board has talked about it, and everybody is right on board with the fact that we get this bypass done. Our bond was a 40-year-old bond. It matures in 2025, and we're paid off. And it's our desire to, and has always been, to merge with Sun Valley. To run a small sewer plant, the cost for running it, for the permitting, cost for permitting is the same for a plant with 150 some customers as it is for the Clarksburg sewer plant. You've got somebody that does the permitting. The fees are the same. Now they sometimes distinguish between a larger or the type plant, but our plant, like I said, is very old. And so we have just come up with this O&M agreement, which really has helped us. And we know down the road when Sun Valley can absorb our sewer customers in, they already have our water customers. It's there again, you're going to have Sun Valley is going to get bigger, going to have more customers, which I think helps them. We've already applied for a rate increase, and I spoke to the lady from the Public Service Commission yesterday, and it has been approved. We've gone through all that process the last 6 to 8 months. And so our rates are going to go up here in about a month or two to our customers. And there again, that's going to get us closer to where Sun Valley's rates are. So when this merger takes place, like Kevin has said, there's not going to be a lot of jockeying up and down of rates. I think everybody's going to pretty much be on the same page of what we are. So, you know, that's where we are. We knew we've had a problem for several years, and because of the DEP and the kind of threatening letters you get from them, we had to make a decision. Now, we have the 1.385 from the county commission, which we're very thankful for, through Sun Valley. And we've also been allotted $500,000 from the IJDC. That was Seth DeVault that did that. We have not signed a binding agreement yet, but we can do that as soon as we work out this situation. I just signed the resolution that Mr. Zimmerman has sitting there, and once that's approved, then we'll sign our binding agreement with Region 6, and we're ready to go here in about a month. And we have troubles with excursions. We have all kinds of problems. Like I said, it's a 37-year-old plant. It's done well, but the last several years, it's getting old. We pay it off in like I said, 2025, I think October. And our goal is to get this bypass done in the next 2 years, get it paid for, and then we're looking at that merger with Sun Valley without any debt. Okay. And we can do that in 2 years because of our money in our reserve accounts. There's always enough money in there to make the last year's worth of payments. So in theory, in October of 24, we could do a merger with Sun Valley with no debt. So they would assume no debt.
And Mr. Turner, you just described exactly, Madam Mayor, Madam Reporter, where we want to get you to.
Yeah.
As far as being with either Shinston or maybe Clarksburg. So he described exactly something that's been in the process for a long time that we now want to do with you. And part of that plan always was to reduce the number of PSDs because the federal dollars isn't going to come to PSDs that has 300 households anymore. They're just not. We need bigger PSDs to be able to qualify. So what he said just now was the best thing
it makes sense.
to help you understand where we're trying to get you with legal, accounting, and PSD and PSC. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I'm good. You ready? Any questions of Mr. Turner?
Yes, ma'am. Steve, I commend you on working with Sun Valley to try to bring this together. I guess where my confusion still is, you said that you guys needed we'll just round it out, $4 million to make this project work.
1.835.
1.835. Some of it's coming from other funding sources.
Correct.
Were you always under the impression that's the money that we gave Sun Valley, the 2.5 million, that you were going to get 1.385 out of that? And who told you that?
Yes, there was. No question in my mind.
Who told you that?
Kevin Short. We'd had meetings. I can look back at our minutes. It's probably in our minutes where we talked about it, and he came and presented to the commission, kind of, I guess you would say, a united front representing Sun Valley, enlarged Hepzibah, who they had an O&M agreement with for 3 years, and Lake Floyd PSD, and we're 8 months, whatever, into an O&M agreement. So when Kevin came, how many months ago? 3 months? 3 months. There was never any question that that money was split 3 ways. He just said, I'm going to go up and make a request for all of it, because we were looking at, well, we're all going to merge together here in a couple, 3 years. We'd like it to be faster, but it's a process, as I've learned. And a lot of things have to take place for everybody to merge. There's no doubt in my mind when we merge with Sun Valley and enlarged Hepzibah does, it will help everybody. All 3 of our systems, it just makes it so much better, because having a separate water system and a separate sewer system at Lake Floyd, well, it's just made it easier with just the O&M agreement, where Sun Valley does all of our, all of our paperwork. Our permitter is Bill Spino from Grafton. He is the one that has the license to run the plant. About 3 years ago, we lost our plant operator that ran the plant for 35 years. Sherri passed away, and that made it difficult on us.
Yeah,
Spino was the one that had the license. So that's, when we came up, there was no question in my mind that the money Kevin was asking for was a 3-way split. And he said, I don't know how much we're going to get. And I said, well, get what you can get, and then we'll sit down and figure out the rest of it. And that's what I think is taking place between our 3 PSDs.
Well, you have to understand my confusion. When this money was handed out, I didn't see Kevin sitting in the room explaining to the Harrison County Commission that the 2.5 million that the commission voted on was to be used by 3 different PSDs. It was never stated. There was never any paperwork saying that was presented and voted on by the commission that money was to be split. I'm still trying to understand how Kevin Short had the authority to go to you. And I guess it's going to come back to the board of Sun Valley. Evidently, they gave Kevin the authority to distribute that money. Is what I'm understanding.
Yeah, and I had been to Sun Valley PSD meetings before. As a matter of fact, the one I was at, Charlotte Schaefer from the Planning Commission was there. When we talked about all this, she's been at several of our meetings, comes quite frequently, and we welcome her. This has always been how it's been. And maybe this was a little technicality of how it is. I don't understand your position on why this is a problem, because it's helping not 1, not 2, but 3 public service districts. And it just, I don't understand what the issue is here. We're not asking for any more money than the 2.5 that was allotted to Sun Valley. They're divided up so much for enlarged Hepzibah, so much for Sun Valley, so much for Lake Floyd PSD, and I don't see a problem with it, but I don't understand.
The issue is that Sun Valley was given a grant for $2.5 million to do sewer, water, and internet. They can't take grant money and to give it to other entities. When we've been charged to give them that money, you should have received that money directly and not gone through Sun Valley. Why this commission wanted to run it through Sun Valley, I have no idea. This commission, the day that Mr. Treecost and Susan Thomas voted to give them the money and not to you directly, I have no understanding, sir, why they didn't. And the more I dig into this, I don't have a clue on how we even got to here if that was the issue at the time. Mr. Treecost, when he made that motion that day, had all the opportunity to allocate that money directly to you for the grant and not to Sun Valley. And the people of this county took it that $2.5 million was going directly to Sun Valley, not to any other institution.
We know now, so.
Yeah. And I think probably the reason.
No, just a second. I think people knew, and there haven't been forward enough to tell the commission and the public that people knew, but the commission was never told. When I asked in the meeting who asked for this money, how it was to be spent, I was not given that information, nor did we.
That's the problem here, right, David? You weren't made aware. Is that the problem?
The commission. I am part of the commission, Susan. You all.
I understand that, but I just want to make sure that you're the one, you didn't know it was taking place. So I just want to make sure. Yeah, I understand where you're going.
No request and know how to spend other than those 3 items.
Okay. Any more questions of Mr. Turner?
I have a comment.
Okay.
Commissioner Hinkle, I think that on our side of it, the reason Kevin came up and made this presentation is because we enlarged Hepzibah and Lake Floyd have an O&M agreement. He is our manager. He runs us. He comes to every meeting. We go through it. I talk to him all the time over our issues of what we're doing. He actually, the one part-time employee we had, now works for Sun Valley, and that started last July. The only person we have on our payroll is Bill Spino, who does all our permitting and has the license to run the plant. And he also works with Sun Valley on other projects. But because we were under an O&M agreement with Sun Valley and enlarged Hepzibah was, that's why Kevin came up here with, we'll say, one front representing all 3 of us. And like I say, I don't understand. We're not asking for more money. We just have to have it legally divided up so we can do what we want to do with it. That's all. And it's in 2 or 3 years, it's all going to be Sun Valley PSD.
6 months ago. That's all.
Could I speak? Does Kevin Short, Sun Valley, representing all 3 BSDs? Can I speak?
Sure.
No, you didn't.
The emails went to all 3 commissioners, including your administrator, requesting the funds that we're discussing today on October 1st. We requested the revised 1.8 with updated costs for Brasher Engineering for Lake Floyd PSD. There was documentation, plus this commission had approved a application to the Public Service Commission and IJDC for the $500,000 that Hepzibah did not qualify because of the managerial districts that they are in with Bridgeport. They do not qualify for the $500,000 grant. So we in turn sent an email to all 3 commissioners and administrators, which I provided that documentation to the Western Community News with all attached documents that was sent to everybody here at the County Commission. And after that, we had no response, and then the motion was made, 2.5. So then we in turn submitted this to your attorney, to our attorney, saying this is what we asked for. The original amount that all 3 districts asked for was $3.5 million. individual. And the individual emails that went out to all parties mentioned. Then the motion was made 2.5. So the three entities working through me decided that, okay, we're $1 million short, here's what we're going to do. And here's what they wish. So that documentation was provided to West Virginia News. I had that documentation, and also it went to all 5 email addresses to get on the agenda to come up here and represent, as we're doing today, all 3 entities.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks, Kevin. Thank you, Mr. Kevin.
And I'll accept all responsibility for any confusion between the entities, because as the chairman of the ones that's trying to work this out, maybe we could have done this better, but there was a lot of stuff that wasn't in our hands. But I will step up and I'll take the.
I don't think there's any heat to be. Okay. Do you have any more questions concerning Hepzibah? I have none, unless Darlene wants to say anything else.
No, I'm open for any questions from any commissioner. No. I believe he knows our stand here. We brought the resolution that was pending the approval, as well as the letters that he requested just a few minutes ago.
Darlene, I know that we're giving you money to help with your system. What is your total cost to bring your system up to with no more water leaks or sewage issues?
May I have Kevin address the water project, sir? He's better with the numbers.
What was the question again, Mr.
He wants to know the total cost of our water project and what we were going to need to do it.
And to bring your sewage treatment plants up to, or any repairs to sewage treatment plants.
I've been involved in Hepzibah and for almost 3 years now as regional general manager. There has been this money. And the project they're doing now is a water project. They've had a lot of water loss over many years. This has been going on for probably 10, 15 years. And they finally moved forward with a project to replace some of their lines that continue to break and have troubles and issues. The sewer is a separate project, and the plants are more in a separate project that we're going looking for other funding sources. We are still waiting on cost estimates to come back on what we need for each plant, plus upgrade and take care of some existing lift stations and extend service, if possible, in certain areas.
So what's the actual total cost to take care of their water projects and their sewage to bring everything up to?
1.9 for the water just now. This is not to take care of all the water issues. They need water meters, which they're in the process right now of on a 19A, which is a general rate increase to upgrade and replace a lot of existing aging infrastructure, which is fire hydrants, water meters, valves, etc. The sewer, we do not have a confirmed number at this time.
So how much difference between bringing their sewer and handling what were sewer issues that are at Lake Floyd? Because they said they had to look at bringing it up to the standards. Is that the same issue it's for Hepzibah?
Not so much standards. Their issues is outdated and existing material and equipment that needs replaced that's over 40, 45 years old. The whole plant does not need replaced, but they have rotors, they've got slush pumps, they've got some tanks that need rehab and replaced.
It would be an exorbitant cost to bring all of the PSDs into question if we did everything, replacing meters, replacing the equipment. If we did all that stuff, it would be a really big number, and we could ask for that, but we knew there just wasn't enough money. What's the best bang for the buck that Sun Valley, Greater Hepzibah, and Lake Ford get? And that's the bite of the apple that everybody decided to take.
I think we've beat that horse.
And the issue with their sewer plants, the original project they planned was to bring all that extension area back into the Speller plant. The Speller plant is only $500,000 a day. To include that much more inflow coming from the new sections of Meadowbrook area, then that plan would have to be upsized. So I worked with the engineer and have contacted the city of Bridgeport that if we could turn around and send this flow back to the city of Bridgeport and they treat it, so we would not have to do a plant upgrade. It would be a plant rehab and maintenance upgrade for existing equipment and stuff inside the plant. And that's what we're waiting on the cost estimate to come back from the engineer to reverse flow and work with the city of Bridgeport to go into their connection point to get to their plant.
Thank you.
Okay. Nothing further on these. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, number 13.
Can we make the resolution?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I have the signed resolution, which has been signed by the chairman of the Sun Valley PSD, the chairman of the enlarged Hepzibah PSD, and the chairman of Lake Floyd PSD to enter into our record. Now, we'll go to number 13.
So it's budget time. That's pretty much what consumes me currently. Elected officials budget meeting is this afternoon starting at 1. We had the furniture bid meeting on Monday, which was approved, and the board of reviews and equalization finished up last week.
I have nothing.
I just have one thing. The next Tuesday, the West Virginia Bar Association has turned in a permit to our county administrator that they will honor and have a ceremony concerning the activities that are going on.
Okay, David, do you have any comments?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
First off, I'd like to thank everybody that came today. There's a lot of background noise. If that can be quieted down in the room, please.
Everyone just left the room, Commissioner Hinkle.
That's fine, but I want to thank everybody that came today. I'm hope that the people of Harrison County and the people that are served by these PSDs understand that, in my opinion and my opinion only, that we have not done our due diligence in making sure that the water and sewage in existing communities have been kept up to par. And we had the ability to have helped them with American Build Back Better funds. I don't think we were good stewards with that funds. We've never explained to the public what that money was going to be used for. We have a prime example here today that some people seem to have known that when we gave out money, they knew that it was going to get divided. It was never told to the commission that it was going to get divided when the money was given out. So this commissioner has to wonder, the $8 million now that was given to Greater Harrison, what the true intentions are with their money And do they plan on helping out other PSDs or other entities? Because we were never given that information on what that money was to be spent for. And I'd also like to say that I think that Hepzibah needed more money than what's being handed to them. I think that the money that was set aside for Lake Floyd, this commission never took it under consideration or discussed the money that they needed. And we left it up to a PSD and put them in Sun Valley into a position where they were making decisions that this commission thought that should be done, but didn't have the wherewithal to bring it up to the public and voted on it. They were trying to use Sun Valley as an out. And I want to apologize to all the customers at Sun Valley who thought that Sun Valley was going to spend $2.5 million on upgrading their system. And now they're down to $500,000. I apologize for that. I never knew that that was the intention of this commission. This commission never once implied that in public. And it was done, as far as I'm concerned, outside of the purview of the commission to make those decisions. And today we made a decision that a grant that we gave Sun Valley, that we have asked Sun Valley to return it and for them to agree to allow us to spend money elsewhere. Thank you to the people of Sun Valley. Thank you to the board of directors of Sun Valley. And again, I apologize that we did not keep our word that you had the $2.5 million to spend as you saw fit. And I would also like to note or ask the president, is Mr. Treecost in the room?
Yes, he is.
So with that, I'm done. Motion to adjourn.
All in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Any opposed? This meeting is adjourned.